We've got some crazy Marvel and DC leaks and news about Avengers Doomsday, The Batman Part 2, new info about Supergirl, Marvel Zombie Season 2, and so much more. Let's talk about all of it. First of all, we got some new official news about The Batman Part 2 straight from Colin Farrell, who plays the Penguin, obviously. He says that The Batman Part 2 is set only a few weeks after the ending of the Penguin series, and this is kind of massive because it confirms that The Batman Part 2 is going to be set in the winter because the first Batman movie takes place in October, obviously. It starts on Halloween Day and goes for a few days after that. Then the Penguin picks up immediately after the Batman Part 1, and it's about a month of in-world time, putting the Batman Part 2 starting right around the middle of December or January, which honestly, if we start on like Christmas Day or New Year's Eve compared to the first movie starting on Halloween, that would be absolutely fire, and I'm so here for it. I need a snowy version of this Gotham City. We still know the villain's not going to be Mr. Freeze because Matt Reeves, the director of the film, said a few weeks back that the villain is going to be someone that we've never seen in a live-action Batman film before, and we obviously saw him back in the Batman and Robin film, but I don't care. I'm happy with a winter setting with Mr. Freeze or not. Sticking with DC, we also got some new leaks from Daniel RPK, who also has a ton of Marvel stuff we'll get to later, but he says that reshoots for Supergirl are currently taking place and are expected to last for 2 weeks, and that David Cornsweet as Superman is very likely involved in these reshoots. People always panic when they hear the word reshoots associated with a movie because, like, Captain America Brave New World is a perfect example. That movie went through months of reshoots. It pretty much changed the entire film because it didn't test well with audiences. But reshoots are not inherently a bad thing. They're really scheduled for most of these big productions for things that they know they have to add on later, things that are going to change. Again, if Superman's involved in this, maybe it was just a scheduling conflict. So they're like, oh, we'll just film this at a later date after we film the rest of the movie. So there's nothing to be worried about with this, and I'd assume Superman is just going to show up kind of like Supergirl did in the Superman film, where it's only going to be like maybe one scene. He'll have a couple sentences of dialogue, but I am interested to see this DCU Superman in a movie that's not directed by James Gunn. Obviously, we know the character is going to be pretty much the same, which I'm glad because I love how his character was portrayed in the first Superman movie, but it's just going to be interesting to see him in a new light. Let's shift over to Marvel because Florence Pugh has recently been talking about Avengers Doomsday, and she gave us some new insights onto Yelena Beloved's new look in the movie, which we obviously got to see in the Thunderbolts post-credit scene because that was filmed on the set of Avengers Doomsday. And this is what Florence had to say about Yelena in the new movie, saying that she is now her own person and can choose what to do. We want very stripped back colors, no bright anything, and very simple hair and makeup, though she has to have the same kind of dark eye makeup because it's Yelena. She can't not have cool eyes, which obviously tells us really nothing about the story of Avengers Doomsday, which obviously no actor is going to say, but I really hope that they make Yelena a big focus in this next movie because we know there's going to be well over 30 different heroes in this film with all the Fantastic Four, the new Avengers, aka the Thunderbolts, Sam Wilson's Avengers, and all these other factions, but I feel like not making Yelena one of the bigger focuses would be a big mistake because I feel like she's one of the best characters we had in the MCU since Avengers Endgame, and they really need to make her truly the new next Black Widow, and honestly an even bigger character than Black Widow ever was. Now switching over to some Marvel leaks, Daniel RPK says that apparently Marvel Studios is now officially going to be moving forward with Marvel Zombie Season 2. Now right when Season 1 came out, we heard a bunch of reports saying that Marvel was blown away by the viewership of this. It was way higher than they expected, so I'm really happy it seems like we're actually getting a second season. First of all, because the cliffhanger was crazy, but I'm also just so glad that Marvel is fully just acknowledging like, hey, we can make these animated series multiple seasons long that are not canon to the MCU and they will still find an audience. Just give us interesting stories. Nobody really cares about what's canon or not. You can use like multiverse concepts or just like what if ideas and give us really cool shows. Shifting gears, Ryan Reynolds has finally confirmed that yeah, he was the guy that leaked the Deadpool test footage back in 2014, because if you don't know, there was some behind the scenes footage of him playing this character and the studio wasn't going to make the movie, so Ryan Reynolds is like, yeah, I released the footage. He says to himself, he's like, dude, what have you done? This could be punishable by law, but the internet forced the studio to say we're going to make this movie, and 24 hours later the movie had a green light because he leaked this footage. People loved it so much and the studio was like, all right, finally we'll make it. Which is really just crazy to think about, the fact that these studio executives that make millions upon millions of dollars had footage of Ryan Reynolds playing the character of Deadpool that we can all agree he's absolutely perfect for, and they watch it and they're like, yeah, we're not going to make this a movie. It gets leaked online because of Ryan Reynolds himself, and everybody's like, oh my god, this is amazing, it's perfect, please make the movie. It makes you think about like what other perfect scripts for superhero movies or maybe castings are potentially out there that studios are just deciding not to make because they think fans aren't going to like it, but they'd actually be incredible. Like, who knows what on earth we're missing out on just because studio executives say no. And honestly, good on Ryan Reynolds. I know it's really easy for the internet to absolutely hate on him nowadays, but this was a great move back in 2014. Sometimes you gotta ask for forgiveness instead of permission. We finally got some more promising news from Jeremy Renner about Hawkeye Season 2, because if you missed it, earlier this year he came out and just straight up said that he was offended by the offer Disney gave him. They gave him half the pay that he got got from season 1 to come back for the second season, even though his role was going to be just as big, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that, Disney. But then just a month ago, he's like, oh yeah, I really hope we can figure something out with Disney, seeming like he was probably in negotiations with them and Disney was probably folding and giving him more money. And now just the other day he came out and says that, oh, we got to the point where we're trying to do the second season officially now. He thinks he's going to get back to strength soon enough to be able to do it, because obviously he had a horrific accident a few years ago. He said, yeah, we're going to work it out. It's going to be great. So it seems like it is going to be officially happening, which I'm really excited for. Hawkeye season 1 is honestly one of my favorite Marvel TV shows. Like, it's just a nice small scale story with some really great moments. Then he also went ahead and was asked about the role of Hawkeye potentially being recast for Avengers Secret Wars, and he just said, hey, if you want to do that, they can go ahead by all means and do that and recast me. I'm pretty busy myself. But me personally, I just really hope this isn't the route Marvel's taking after Secret Wars. Now, Kevin Feige's already come out and confirmed it's going to be like a soft reboot. It's not resetting everything. A lot of the main players like Spider-Man and stuff are going to be sticking around in the future of the MCU, but it's going to leave the door open for maybe some recasts, some returning characters. But I feel like we have Kate Bishop in the MCU already, and she's been super underutilized outside of Hawkeye season 1. Why not just finally make her truly the next Hawkeye? Give her her own solo project, or maybe the Young Avengers. You don't need to recast like Clint Barton in the MCU ever again, in my opinion. I mean, there's definitely an argument on both sides, because it doesn't seem like they're really doing anything with the Young Avengers, and they're all going to be like well over 30 by the time we end up getting this project, and just close to the age of the regular Avengers we got in the 2012 movie anyways. Let me know in the comments below, would you rather them recast characters like Iron Man, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, Wanda even, or continue on with their like successors like Cassie Lang and Ironheart, Kate Bishop, and Wanda's kids? And because Jeremy Renner apparently just likes to keep yapping, he also said a little bit about King, and he says, hey, I don't really know enough about Jonathan Majors and his whole situation to really know fully behind the scenes, but he says, hey, I know they had big plans for that characters, and it really is one of the biggest what-ifs in Marvel history. I feel like people have forgot that, like, yeah, now we have Avengers Doomsday, but this has only been the case for like a little over a year. Back in 2022, they still announced Avengers The King Dynasty that was going to release in May of this year. And yeah, there was obviously a chance that this ended up getting delayed a little bit, but it's really just crazy to picture that the MCU going forward could have been completely different. Not having Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom, these two Avengers movies would look completely different, and it really is all because of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, even over Jonathan Majors' legal issues outside of this. Who knows, maybe if Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania with King as the main villain didn't flop at the box office, get panned by critics and fans, they probably would have tried to work around Jonathan Majors' legal issues. I mean, they just made a movie with Jared Leto, who is like PR poison. I don't think Disney really cares, but I do ultimately think that Doom is obviously going to be a way better villain to have for two different Avengers movies. I think King still could have been a really interesting character going forward in the MCU, maybe in like a smaller scale team-up movie, or like a smaller Avengers film before we got this big two-part event. It's kind of a shame we're never going to see him again, but who knows, the multiverse and all this stuff, they might bring back King in some form in the future. That was a lot of news and leaks to go over. Let me know your thoughts on all it in the comments below, and drop a like on the video. If you want to see some brand new leaks about Spider-Man Brand New Day and new characters that got revealed for the film, make sure to click the video above my head right now, and thank you for watching.